Welcome to Podnutz Daily, episode number 324. The show about computer repair. The show for computer repair technicians by computer repair technicians is how I like to put it these days. And that's basically what we do. It started out as a show where I had a computer repair shop. I would do stuff every day at my shop. I would come home, turn on a mic, and just talk about it. And that tradition has seemed to carry on through the years to the point now where I still turn on the mic, but you guys come on and you talk about it, what happened at your own shops. And I think that's awesome because I like to hear about it. Joining us today is our technician, Ralph McNabb, who is it's RMC Nab on Twitter, or R McNabb on Twitter. What's going on, Ralph?
Oh, not too much. Just I had to clean some things up after work today, and I had to do some work after work today. And I was trying to get everything ready so that I would be ready for the show tonight.
Well, you were probably more ready than I was scrambling around for your Skype name. I'm famous for doing that a minute before the show. But no, thanks for joining us, and thank you for, being a first timer coming on the show. I always say I love when you guys come on for the first time. It makes the whole pool of guests much bigger. We get different viewpoints. Everybody brings their own tips, and it just makes for a really good show and community. So thank you for taking the leap and coming on.
Well, thank you for having me on. I used to subscribe to TechNibble, which I still do, and that's how I heard about the Podnutz website and the podcast. And as soon as I heard about it, I just started listening to every episode that I could, and I've been listening to both your Podnutz Daily, the Podnutz Pro. I've listened to some of the Podnutz at night. I have an MP3 player just connected to my car, and I just keep loading up episodes, and that's all I do because I'm on the road a lot, so right. I have plenty of time to listen.
Oh, great! I hope you're liking the shows. It's funny. If I did a survey, I would think probably over 90% of the guys who listen to the show listen in their car. So, if I had to make a prediction. The Podnutz Pro, Podnutz Daily, I'm going to get the Podnutz Roundtable back up going again, but I actually am afraid to go back and listen to some of the earlier episodes because I don't want to hear what I said or how I sounded back then. It's like I don't want to look back. I would hear how much I messed up or something like that, but I'm glad that people do get something out of the show.
Well, it's progressive, so yeah. There's certain knowledge that everybody has at one point, and once that starts to spread, you get more knowledge that comes into the show, and it snowballs. Yeah,
that is. I really am happy that the show is going that way, and that as the technology evolves, we're going with it. Thanks to you guys. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I currently work at a IT company that's based in Canton, Michigan.
Okay.
And we do a lot of business work. It's pretty much all of our businesses with small and medium-sized businesses. A lot of medical.
Okay.
And we have clients all over the place, but we pretty much do anything IT related that they need, any computers that need setting up, any networks, servers, all of the above. We do hosting, web design. We have actually a web design team and a development team that handles all kinds of really cool projects.
Like what?
Well, we have a lot of clients that have specific needs depending on what industry they're in. So they'll need a specific application on their website, or a specific application that's hosted for them, and it's really anything that they need that we can provide without actually outsourcing it to a third party. They try and do.
Oh, cool.
And our web design team has been really good, and we've not really had any problems with them, but they work on a different schedule than our help desk, so we pretty much have somebody online 24 hours a day.
Oh, cool. It sounds like an interesting place to work. And you were telling me earlier that going to be doing more, getting into computer repair, as opposed to just, well, I mean, help desk is obviously part of that too, but more hardware, more hands-on fixing desktops, fixing laptops kind of thing?
Yes, actually, the idea is that right now we have all of our business support that is through this company,
Right.
And my boss, who is actually the president of the company, wants to start a second company, which is a completely separate entity,
right.
That he would have me run, which would be just completely based on consumer and small business support, and any kind of PC repairs, laptops, network support, quick on-site support for small businesses.
Right.
Obviously, if we're going to have businesses that need maintenance contracts and whatnot, that would be more the focus of the company that I'm with now.
Right.
But it's really just a good idea to try and diversify what they're doing.
I agree. Oh, definitely. Like the more breadth of the company you have and the more you can just get multiple streams of business, then the more secure you are. But it sounds like a fun job for you starting that up.
It's definitely something that I've been interested in for the past probably about 5 years.
Yeah.
I originally kind of set a goal for myself that I wanted to start my own business doing this by the age of 25. Well, now I'm 25 and I don't have my own business, but there's the potential for that to happen in the very near future.
That's pretty cool. Hey, before you tell us about your notes, because you brought some awesome notes here, I want to announce that in the studio, live, is my friend Ken Watts, who has been with Podnutz Daily from the beginning. He heard the first episode I did with Leo back in the day and has been listening ever since. And Ken is he is the man responsible for when I kept saying, should I get a leaf blower to blow out the dust out of all the PCs? I think I should get a leaf blower. I heard leaf blowers are good to, get the dust out. And I didn't get off my butt and buy one. In the mail at my shop arrives a Black & Decker cordless leaf blower for blowing all the crap and dust out of laptops, courtesy of Ken, plus amongst other through the years awesome donations he's given to the network. So I want to acknowledge Ken for coming here. Can I put you on the camera? There's Ken right there. He's sitting in my studio with all the cat toys and electronics and stuff, and then there's a camera. Thank you, Ken, for everything you've done, man.
You're awesome.
No problem. I'm glad that you got some stuff out of the show. And Ken runs an amazing computer repair business himself, and I'm really appreciative of all the support, Ken. Ken's saying he looks fat, but if you guys saw the bottom half of me, you would not think so. All right, well, Ralph, bring it on. What do you got for us today? What do you want to talk about?
Well, first I wanted to give a little bit of background about kind of where I've come from as far as the tech world is concerned. I started out after high school in engineering at college, and I studied that for several years, but I switched between a couple different types of engineering. I started in mechanical, I went to electrical, and then I went to computer, and then I decided that I wanted to go into network administration. And that's what I've been studying for the past couple of years now. And all throughout that time, I had been working just part-time jobs that I didn't like, and then I finally started working for the Geek Squad part-time. And I was there about 3.5 years, and I loved every minute of it. Just fixing computers, helping out the customers. It was just a really good experience, and it taught me a lot of things that I didn't know in the first place, and it kind of got me where I am now. From the Geek Squad, though, I moved to a different company where I started working full-time as a help desk technician.
Right.
But I wasn't really doing what I wanted to. And then probably about a month and a half later, the company that I'm at now actually found me on Career Builder, and they just kind of started talking about how they had a couple of positions open. They had a couple help desk analyst positions open. One was in the office, the other was mainly on site, which is actually what I'm doing now. But it just kind of happened all at once, and right now I'm pretty much doing what I wanted to do, which is systems administration, networking, all of the above. And at this job, which is really exciting, is that every day it's something different.
Right.
Everything changes every day. I'm never really dealing with the same thing twice within a couple weeks at least.
What kind of stuff do you get to do?
Well, I am actually based out of the help desk, so any kind of support requests that come into the help desk, I have to share with all the other help desk analysts. But any kind of issues that arise from email, maybe a client server application is down. We have a lot of SQL applications that run that are actually they're mission critical, because with our medical clients, if we're down for more than 10, 15 minutes, we have a lot of people that are breathing down our necks.
Sure.
So anything as far as setting up a new network, we deal with a lot of Cisco firewalls. I've been working with that a lot for the past probably about 6 months or a little longer now. And we do wireless access points. We do via phone systems. We're really trying to expand what we do as far as the business side,
sure,
as well as the consumer side.
Right. Sounds like it. Good for you guys, especially in this economy.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's a good history. I mean, we talk about the Geek Squad, and we've talked about them in past shows. It's probably a great stepping stone for somebody who wants to get into this business and just get their feet wet and learn. I think sometimes the unfortunate thing is at least at the places the Best Buys I've been to, is sometimes they will give information that's not totally accurate because they just don't know any better. They're just getting in. It's a lot of times it's a young guy who's just getting in and doesn't know and thinks he knows and might lead somebody the wrong way, or has been told by his manager, you have to sell this, you have to sell this. So, but for the most part, I believe it's like you said. I mean, it's probably a great way to get experience and realize that, oh, this is something I want to do in the future. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. The nice thing about that, and where some people might consider this actually a downfall, but there's a lot of salesmen, we'll call them, that can start on the Geek Squad. And the reason that they start on the Geek Squad is because they're salesmen. That's what Best Buy wants.
Right.
First and foremost, the Geek Squad is a sales team.
Right.
And they can't perform any services if they haven't sold any. And it gives people that don't necessarily know anything about computers the opportunity to learn.
Right.
And for a part-time job, they pay pretty well, but it does teach you how to deal with customers. It teaches you a lot of sales techniques that they've kind of almost perfected at this point. They have everything down to a science. They report everything as far as repairs. They make sure that you stay on top of your queue so that you don't have anything that stays in for service for too long.
Right.
They're very, very adamant about having everything recorded as far as sales figures, performance numbers. They're very, very performance oriented.
Huh. I guess maybe we do have some things to learn from the Geek Squad. I mean,
it's a pretty good business model, to be honest with you. That's why they're making millions of dollars.
Right.
But I mean, if in my eyes, if you base your company on a very good business model and you try to compete with your number one competitor, which at this point is really the Geek Squad, because they're everywhere and everybody knows the name, then as long as you can provide consistent performance, consistent service, and decent prices, you're going to do well.
I agree. Well, is that one of the first things you want to talk about, or what did you want to go over?
Well, actually, one of the first things that I did want to go over was sales strategies.
Sure.
And that's something that I kind of picked up from the Geek Squad, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're kind of universal concepts where if you want to sell something to a customer, you can't sell them an orange if they're looking for an apple, because it just doesn't make sense. So you kind of have to match your client with the right product by recognizing what they need. Okay. So if they say, hey, I want an apple, you're not going to sell them an orange because they want an apple.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that you have to do to kind of recognize what they're looking for, because a lot of times the customer doesn't even know what they're looking for. And that's probably more prevalent in Best Buy, because people will see, it's a big electronics store. If I don't know what I'm looking for, somebody in there will.
Right. I've actually seen that. I go in there looking at laptops, and I've multiple occasions. A kid's especially with the back to school, the kid's looking at all the laptops, and I always hear him say, "There's just so many. There's just so many. Like they're overwhelmed by choices." So I guess if you could find out what they want, just give it to them, they will buy it, right?
Right. And the main way that they do that is by asking trigger questions. So there's things like, first of all, they need to recognize who's going to be using the computer.
Right.
So if this is a kid that's coming in buying a computer for college, then you're not necessarily going to sell them like a Mac Pro, because they might not need a Mac Pro. They might just need a small netbook, or they might need a small laptop that can get them through their classes,
right?
Because they can't take a Mac Pro to class. Asking those trigger questions, are you going to be using this in class? Is this going to sit in your dorm? Is this going to connect to a printer?
Do you want to play games on it?
Exactly. Do you want to play games? What kind of software are you going to run on this? Do you have the software that you need to run on this? Microsoft Office, antivirus software. These are all things that you should be looking for every single time that you're selling a computer to someone.
All right. Good point.
And it's really, not everybody sells new computers. If you have a PC repair shop, you might sell refurbished, or you might sell custom builds. Not so much with laptops, but I know a big thing right now with a lot of smaller businesses, because you can make a lot of money on them, is by selling refurbished computers.
Sure.
And Dell has programs where you can get refurbished computers and become a reseller through them. They have all kinds of affiliate programs with these smaller companies as well. But it's really just finding the hidden needs that people don't know they have. So there's even been times where I've talked to somebody that needed a computer, but just by asking the right questions, you discover, hey, they need a video camera too. Well, maybe you don't sell video cameras, but you can at least point them in the right direction,
right,
and offer your services to help get them set it up.
What do you mean they're hidden needs?
A lot of times you'll find a college student that they'll come in, hey, I'm looking for a laptop. I need to take it to class because I want to take notes on it. But you notice that they either have a smartphone, or they have a digital camera that they're not really sure how to use. That's where your services can come in, and you can teach them how to use the digital camera. You can teach them how to connect it to their computer, upload their pictures. You can, if you have some of the better software. I don't mean to promote Apple really, but iPhoto is an amazing application. If you can show somebody how to use iPhoto, they'll just be stunned at what it can do. Facial recognition, whatnot. Just getting somebody excited about their computer and the technology that they already have is just another way to sell your own services.
That's really good, man.
It's basically whatever you can connect back to your other services to kind of tie everything in together is really going to benefit both you and the customer, because they're going to walk away happy. You're going to walk away happy. You're going to have some pretty hefty pockets. But if you can get fewer jobs that make the customer happier and get their technology that they already have to work with what you're providing them with, then you're probably going to do a lot better than you would if you just fixed viruses all day.
This might be eye-opening for some people. Go on, tell us. Like, what are you thinking? Like, what? Maybe an example, or I see your next line is focus more on sales, less on repairs.
Exactly. Well, first of all, if you don't sell any services, you can't provide any repairs because you don't have anything sold. If you automate let me back up a second. If you focus more on automation in your repairs, it frees you up more time to focus on your sales strategies, customer relations, it's really just kind of tying everything into the business together. And you want to focus on efficiency, which is actually my next topic, but I don't want to jump ahead too quick.
Okay.
Basically, people will wait for a repair as long as they know it's being worked on. So if you're communicating to your customers, you're working very quickly in communicating to your customers that, you know, this is being worked on, this is what we've found, this is what we're going to do to resolve the issue. They're happy that you're at least doing something to work on their computer. They don't necessarily need to get it back tomorrow.
Right.
They might be okay with a 3 or 4 day turnaround time.
Okay.
Which, if you get busy enough, you're going to have a 3 or 4 day turnaround time.
Right.
And once you kind of free yourself up for selling your services, you can focus more on making longer customer interactions. So let's say you have somebody that comes into your store and, you know, they're not really sure what's going on with their computer or what they need. Well, if you go back to what I was saying about, you know, new sales and tying their old technology in with the new technology, you can actually apply that to their old technology as well, because they might have a computer that they've been using for 3 or 4 years that is capable, but they're not actually aware that they can upload their pictures to their computer, or that they could be editing video, or that they could be making a blog. You know, if you just realize what they want to do, even if they don't know it, you can kind of pick up on what somebody wants to do with their computer just by asking the right questions. Once you do that, you can develop services around that, or you might actually have services that offer what they're looking for.
All right. Well, let me see if I got you so far. So instead of somebody coming into your shop and saying, "What's the problem? Oh, my computer's making this noise," taking it and going, "Okay, we'll have it back to you in 3 days," you actually engage in a sales conversation and find out more about the person and what their needs are. Like, well, what are you using this computer for anyway? Or, you know, is there anything else about that you want this computer to do? And you try to find out what they want that maybe you haven't found out yet, aside from the repair, and then develop services around that.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly what the Geek Squad does, and that's why they make so much money.
Uh-huh.
So they have a certain sales procedure that they go through, and that's why they perform consistent service every single time. But if you kind of set yourself up to have a consistent interaction every single time you have somebody come into the store, then you'll always find out what their needs are. You're going to find out how many people are using the computer, what they're using it for. Maybe you have a 50-year-old that comes into your store that has a few kids that now they're teenagers and they're doing more on the computer. Well, maybe the dad doesn't have as much time on the computer because the kids are spending more time on there, but he wants to know what the kids are doing online. He wants to make sure that he's not getting viruses again, because obviously he's in your store for a reason. And once you kind of figure out all of those needs and you know who's using it, what are they using it for, is this actually meeting their needs, then you can either provide them with services that'll actually encompass everything they need with their computer, or you can offer them a new PC.
That's pretty cool.
A lot of times, even if somebody wants to buy a new PC, they might say, you know, I want this new PC because it's fast, but I want it for me. I already have this other computer and it just needs to be fixed. I can get that fixed and just give it to my kids, but I want to monitor what they're doing. I want to still have antivirus software on it. You know, it's things that you don't necessarily think about all the time that you really need to realize they're looking for.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Getting a little nosy in a manner of speaking, just to find out, because they might come in with a computer that's broken or having a problem, but that's not really what they would like to solve. That's not really their problem. Like, yes, you said, like, They really walked in going, I wish I could have a computer for myself, but I can't afford it. And if once you find out what they're looking for, then at least you can know if you can offer it to them or not. I'm with you, man. This is really cool. It's good stuff.
Exactly. Well, I guess moving on a little bit.
Yeah.
In your sales strategies, of course, you're going to strive to provide them with services that'll meet their entire needs. But in doing that, you have to make sure that you're not over-promising.
Right.
You definitely need to under-promise and over-deliver. And there's I from a lot of the podcasts that I've heard in the past, and from a lot of people that I've talked with on TeamSpeak, there's a lot of little things that you can do that are just, they're simple. They don't take a whole lot of time, but they make your business look good and they make your service look good.
Uh-huh.
And it makes your service worth it, essentially. If you're offering things like virus repairs, but somebody brings a computer in that's super dirty, and I've heard you talk about this in the past with the leaf blower. Actually, if their computer's super dirty, or maybe they've spilled pop all over it,
right.
And obviously it's still working to some degree, but if you're just removing the viruses and handing it back, then they're walking away. They're saying, okay, well, at least my computer's virus free, but it still looks like crap.
Right.
Well, if you're providing a physical cleaning for free with that virus removal, you're doing things like a tune-up, or you're let's say something comes in for an addition of another hard drive, but in the meantime, you're running a tune-up, you're running a malware diagnosis. Those are things that can potentially generate you more revenue, but also they let the customer know that you're kind of looking out for them.
Oh yeah, well, they expect one thing, and you gave them something unexpected, better than what they were expecting. It's like you can't fail if you do that in business, I don't think.
Exactly. I've seen too many times, actually, from a lot of different geek squads at the different stores, where I make a habit of going in there and kind of listening to their conversations sometimes, just to see what kind of staff they have there. What kind of knowledge
you mean just
have.
as a customer just walking the aisles?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I got used to shopping at Best Buy, and I go there a lot for Blu-rays and all kinds of things, but I spend a lot of my money at Best Buy. So I get a lot of time to kind of just swing by. I can overhear what they're talking about.
Are you a Reward Zone Silver Premier member?
I am, actually.
Nice. Join the club. Join the club.
Yeah, it's I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I know, I say the same thing to myself. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But once you kind of get a gauge for what kind of knowledge that they have, you'll more often than not see somebody that will say, "Oh yeah, we can get this back to you in 24 to 48 hours," where they might actually have 30 or 40 computers already in for service, and they might not get that computer back to them within 3 or 4 days.
Right.
Where they've just promised 24 hours or 48 hours, all of a sudden somebody's coming back in 48 hours. Hey, where's my computer? Oh, let me check on that for you. Well, it looks like it's not done. And then, the customer comes in, customer's angry, customer goes home angry, comes back 2 days later. If it's still not done, they're even more angry.
Sure.
And especially at the price that they pay on the Geek Squad. It's $200 for virus removal. If
you can't even deliver that in the expected time, then that's
exactly
right.
It's terrible. But if you are competing with the Geek Squad and your prices are half that, and you're over delivering really by offering things that really don't necessarily come with a virus removal all the time, where maybe you're looking out for them in that. Maybe they only have a gig of RAM in their computer, so you recommend that they upgrade for such and such a price if maybe this RAM is on sale. This is something that you could do to speed up your computer. I noticed you haven't had any antivirus installed for quite some time because you're still running Norton 2007. Well, this is something that I can offer you.
Right.
It makes more money for you. It lets them know that you're looking out for them.
Right.
And it's really making them happier that their computer is going to be taken care of before they walk out of the door.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, you list a couple things in here about doing a physical cleaning,
Yep.
A tune-up, run a malware diagnosis even on simple repairs. Promise I hope I'm not going ahead of what, and you were already going to say this, but you said promise a 3-day turnaround and deliver in 2 days. That kind of stuff's awesome. That's gold. When they get a call before they expected it, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good business idea to follow this one line, and that's just deliver what you promise. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. That'll help a lot.
Absolutely. And in delivering a quicker turnaround time, it actually moves me into my my next topic is efficiency. There's a lot of things that you can do to maintain efficiency or promote efficiency within your business. And one of the major things really is virus scanning. And this is something that Brytech had talked about heavily in TeamSpeak before. And I had seen some videos that he did on YouTube about this. Things like Avert or D7, tools like that actually automate virus scans for you, virus removals, cleanups. Avert is actually a really great program. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it.
No, what does it do? Does it take like kind of mainstream programs and allows you to automate them, or is it its own antivirus?
It actually automates mainstream programs. So there's about 7 or 8 different command line based scanners that it automates for you. It has its own scripts. You can choose different options. There it is. Yep. You can choose different options to actually increase or decrease the level of automation, where you can have it scan and repair viruses. You can repair the operating system. You can clean up temp files. It's really a great tool, but you do have to pay.
Awesome.
You do have to pay for the pro version if you want it to automate the operating system repair for you.
How much?
I believe it's about $10 or $20 maybe.
A month, or?
I think that's just a one-time fee.
Wow, this is killer, man. I never heard of this. Where have I been?
Where is it?
It's pretty cool. So you could automate this stuff. Yes, this is definitely a step in the right direction for efficiency.
Yeah, it's amazing what this program does, but that's actually, oddly enough, something that looks very similar to what the Geek Squad used.
Oh, really?
what they used when I was there, anyways. It's been about a year and a half now that since I've been there.
So they just program in what they wanted to do, hit start, and then walk away.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. That's most of their work is actually automated now because they have their own in-house software development. They use pre-installed environments to run all their tools from, so everything is offline scanning. It makes everything very, very efficient. The scans actually run quite a bit faster, and they can just set it and forget it.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Awesome tool, man.
The next one that I had there is operating system update automation, and this is something that's been talked about in the past, but I don't think I could stress enough how important this is, because I mean you take a computer that had Windows XP Service Pack 2 originally installed. Well, now you've got Service Pack 3, and on top of that, you've got more than 100 updates at this point. And this with the WSUS offline updater, it basically allows you to download all of the updates for a specific operating system. Windows XP / Server 2003. You can do Windows 7, Windows Vista, and it allows you to create an ISO that you can then burn or just run as an ISO if you use like daemon tools or something. And it installs all of the updates for you. So you just pretty much put it in, hit go, it installs everything. Sometimes it has to reboot a couple times and then recontinue it. You'll have to run it again. But it takes a lot of the time out of downloading things if you have a slow connection. So you basically just download them once, create your ISO, install the updates, and you're good to go.
You use this a lot?
I do use this a lot, actually. This is I use this. Well, I used to use this almost every day when I was refreshing computers at the place that I work now. But I mean, now that I've moved on to other things, or we've been focusing on other things, I haven't used it as much. But
Can you
it's still
use it on like 7, Vista, and XP?
Yes, yes. And it even allows you to download updates for Office.
Oh, really? Sweet.
Which those service packs are huge.
Really? They are?
They're pretty big.
Shows how much I run Office.
They're just as big as the operating system service packs now.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. I don't know how much the software could be lacking to need an update like that, but it's just that's ridiculous.
I know, that's pretty awesome. It says something about it. Hey, where can people get this? It's WSUS or WSUS.
Let's see.
Is it? I think it's
WSUS. It's download.wsusoffline.net.
Aha, there it is. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's it. That program is amazing.
All right, another tool in efficiency by Ralph.
Well, that's actually something that in server administration, and something that I use almost on a daily basis.
Really?
WSUS is a tool that you install on the server that allows you to select the products that you have on the network, and it allows you to sync with the Microsoft Windows Update site, pull all the updates down to the server, and then push them to the workstations. So you don't have workstations that are lagging behind on updates. You just force them onto the workstations.
It does all that, really?
It allows you to do that, and you can actually group the computers. So if you have certain software that doesn't play well with certain updates, you can make a group for those computers and apply only certain updates to that group.
No kidding.
It's actually very granular. It's pretty good tool. The only problem is it takes a long time to do this. If you're working with 30 or 40 different networks that have 30 or 40 different PCs at each, it takes a long time to go through all those updates.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, is it totally free?
Well, I mean, you have to buy the server operating system, but when you download WSUS onto the server, that is a free add-on to the operating system.
That's awesome.
It's a Microsoft tool.
Oh, this is Microsoft actually made this tool?
Yep. Well, the WSUS offline is a third party that makes it.
I got you.
But they're using the WSUS servers, I believe.
I see what you're saying.
But I mean, WSUS is pretty slick when you get it on a server, because you get it into let's say a small business server. It's actually built into the small business server console.
I see. I see. So you're using that a lot.
I use that a lot. Actually, yeah.
Awesome.
My next point here is drive imaging and cloning when applicable. This is something that I've tried to do more in the past, but never really got the chance to focus on it.
Right.
And it does actually take a lot of focus if you're dealing with hundreds and hundreds of PCs, because you're pushing out hundreds of images that might have different software on each. And if you deal with small businesses a lot, this can save you a lot of time, because if you have a department that all uses the same image, they're all using the same computer. Let's say you're pushing out a Dell Inspiron laptop, and they all use the same software. They all use the same operating system. If you just create an image of it, I mean, you're going to have to change the computer name in order to throw it on the domain. You might have to, well, depending on whether or not you're using OEM licenses or not, you might have to change a product key or whatnot. But still, it saves you the time of actually installing the operating system.
Sure.
You just get everything ready to go. You have all your software on there. The only thing that you really have to do is, once you image the computer, just update it.
Sure. Now, I could see how that definitely could be, especially in a business environment.
Definitely. It does save a lot of time. And one thing that I've noticed is that you're always going to have clients that consistently or almost consistently will reinfect their computer with viruses. No matter what you do to try and prevent it, they will reinfect their computer with viruses.
Right.
And usually it's the people that have the most ridiculous software to try and reinstall every single time. So once you get it installed, you really don't want to mess with that software. So you're definitely going to want to clone it. We have a lot of clients that use industry-specific applications that are actually connecting to servers at other locations over a VPN, and the configuration on a lot of those things, you have to go get the software from the company that they're working with, or, you know, the configurations, once it's on the computer, is a lengthy enough process that you really don't want to do it more than once.
Exactly.
So if you provide an image for them, or just image their computer and leave an image on there so you can just go ahead and restore it with something like Cronus, it saves a lot of time.
Definitely. Reinstalling drivers, extra apps, you know, all those apps, forget it.
Yeah, it gets a little hectic at that point. But another thing that actually kind of helps with that is Ninite. And this has definitely been mentioned before, but this is something I use 100% of the time, every day. And it's, even if somebody's just having an application specific problem, that maybe the Java's out of date, or they don't have the right version of Adobe Reader. Well, you know, I get them up to date with Ninite, and it automates the install. It's an excellent program, and I wish I had a pro account so I could just save all these things. But what I've been doing is generating standard Ninite installers that have all the applications that I want, you know, Chrome or Firefox. Right. It has your .NET, your Flash, Java, Air, Adobe Reader, 7-Zip, Microsoft Security Essentials. I generate those installers and save them in a Dropbox account, and then I can just throw them in the public folder. If I'm doing a remote support, just copy and paste the link. That's all.
Wow, it's a good idea to put them in a Dropbox folder.
It's pretty awesome. It's very, very handy.
I can imagine. Yeah, all the tools you kids have nowadays, I'll tell you. Back in the day. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, what's really nice is that you can actually create a scheduled task within Windows. If you just save this Ninite installer to your hard drive, create a scheduled task, you can set it to run every month. I do this on my desktop at home just so I have, because I don't touch it very much. Right. I just want to have the applications up to date when I need them. So I set a scheduled task to run the Ninite installer. It runs once a month, updates my applications. All it does really is checks for what's installed and checks it against what's on their servers. And if what they have is newer, it'll download it and install it. Otherwise, it'll skip it.
So it doesn't actually go in and update the software. It'll just reinstall a newer version.
Pretty much.
Okay, I got you.
Pretty much, which can actually fix some issues sometimes. Which I've had issues with Adobe Reader where that has actually solved the problem.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, Adobe Reader. Don't get me started on that one.
Me neither.
But what was it? The other day, I was looking at a machine that had Adobe Reader on it, and it was just nothing but problems. I had reinstalled it the day before, came back to the machine. They couldn't open the program at all. It would just crash every single time. Right. So I had to uninstall it. I rebooted. I used CCleaner to clean the temp files, clean the registry, rebooted again, reinstalled Adobe Reader, finally works. But I use Ninite every time because it's just incredibly fast.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Adobe Reader, installing or reading PDFs, it's just nuts. How can that program be so obtrusive? It's just crazy.
115 megabytes was version 10.1.0. That's the newest version that I've seen. 115 megabytes. I can't imagine what you could possibly need in 115 megabytes of data to read a PDF.
I know.
That's all it does, is read a PDF. All I want it to do is open it. There's a what is this application on Mac? Preview. This application on Mac is probably one of the smaller applications that I've ever seen, and it opens everything.
I know. I love Preview. It's great. It's great for reading PDFs.
It's a simple interface. It displays them perfectly. You can pretty much zoom in, zoom out. That's all you need.
I know. It's totally fine. I mean, but have you used Foxit? I use Foxit. Yeah.
I do like Foxit. I've used it in the past, but I didn't really. Do they offer a version for Mac?
No, not for Mac. No, not for Mac. But
Okay.
is that the problem you were having with the that machine with Adobe Reader? Was on a Mac?
It was actually on a Windows PC,
Right,
but it was an older Windows XP machine.
Yeah.
And a lot of the XP machines in businesses that we deal with, they might have been installed 3 or 4 years ago, and this user hasn't learned any more about computers than they knew 3 or 4 years ago. So their machine is just completely hosed, and it's a bear to work with remotely. It's a bear to work with next to them. It becomes problematic. And then when they're running 4 different versions of Java on the machine at 130 megabytes apiece, that's a little ridiculous.
There's another one we could criticize right there.
Yeah.
We'll save that for. We'll do a whole show on rants. Let's pick the software we hate.
That works.
That's a good idea. We're gonna do that.
Now, kind of we're getting a little off topic, I guess, but
of course,
getting back to the efficiency, remaining mobile is probably the best thing that I've done since I've had this job. I used to be able to just put everything on a flash drive, or I would want to put everything on a flash drive. I bring my laptop with me on site. I have all my tools and everything. Well, I figured out that I don't need any of that stuff whenever I go on site, because I always know what the problem is ahead of time, and it's 99% of the time it's software related. And if I can't correct it on the server, I can correct it on the workstation without anything in addition. And I've been using Dropbox more often. I use it just as often as Ninite, really. And I use Evernote all the time. Evernote is amazing. It's probably one of the greatest programs I've ever noticed, but I think it's just because it's so simple.
What do you use it for, and why do you say it's amazing?
Well, one thing that I couldn't really get a handle on, I wanted something that I could use to track my mileage.
Right.
Because I go on site all the time, and I get reimbursed for mileage because I use my own car. Well, I wanted something that I could use that was free, number one, to track mileage, and then also to make notes about what I did on site. So I would create a new note, and I do this now. I create a new note about an on-site visit that's on a particular day. So I label it with the date. Depending on what I'm doing that day, I might label it with the client name, or I might just label it this date on site. And then I track my mileage and the notes in there, but I keep specific notes about everything that I do on site, so I can make cases in our CRM system once I get back to the office. Mm-hmm. And aside from that, anytime I see a how-to online, I try and make it in PDF form, just because I can put it on anything and I'll be able to read it.
Right.
But if I save these how-tos in PDF form, I can either throw them in Dropbox or I can throw them in Evernote, and I'll always be able to search that. Where, let's say, let me go back about 9 or 10 months. I had a server that I had to go down to Cleveland for, actually, and one of the drives had gone offline, and the proposed solution was to pull it out, reinsert it, try and force it online with the Dell server administrator. And the girl in the office that was working there pulled the wrong drive, and it was one that was actually running, and it was pretty critical too, because it brought the entire server down. And I had to kind of improvise as far as what I had to do to bring it back up, because once I got it actually back online, it wouldn't boot the operating system. So I could only boot into Directory Services Restore mode, but I didn't have the password initially. So I had to dig up the password. By the time I got the password, I'm trying to repair Windows enough to the point where I can actually restore from an NT backup.
Okay.
And I had found a how-to online about what I could do to actually repair. I can't remember what it was that was broken, but it was a how-to on how to fix what I needed to fix to get the backups working.
Right.
And I saved it in a PDF and I put it on my workstation, but I don't always have that laptop on me. So I figured if I have them in Evernote, I can at least access them on the web, if not on my phone, which I can on my phone. So if I can access it on my phone, I know what I'm doing. If I don't have my workstation, or if my laptop's at the office or it's in my car, I can at least look it up.
Right.
And it saves you the time of having to try and keep everything organized, because it kind of organizes everything for you.
Huh.
And if you can search text in the document, you can search it in Evernote.
So all the Evernote apps and Evernote having it on your desktop or just the service in general, is that a free app, or are they already charging these days? I think I played with it when it was in beta, and that was great, but I kind of lost touch with it.
It is free up to a certain point.
Okay.
You can only sync so much every month before they actually start locking out your account, and then you have to pay for the pro version or whatever.
How much is that?
Let's double check. I can't remember offhand.
First, however, like, so, say you use it a lot, obviously. Are you at the point where you have to pay for the pro version, or are you still?
Absolutely not.
Really?
I don't even come close to the requirement.
Oh, wow, that's
and
great.
I think the reason for that is that most of the stuff that I put into it is text, and it's very, very small.
Right.
So whenever it syncs, it just syncs very, very small chunks of data.
Wow. Cool. I got to look back into it. Definitely got to look back into it. It's nice to have whatever device you have access to all your notes. I mean, I've been using a lot of Google services for it personally lately, but I'm always open to new stuff.
Here's I just sent you on Skype there the premium link, and it looks like it's about $5 a month or $45 per year. And normally on your free account you get to sync about 60 megabytes per month. You can upload 60 megabytes per month, and your largest single note size is 25 megabytes. If you get the premium account, you can upload up to 1 gigabyte per month. But their max note size doubles to 50 megabytes.
I see.
But honestly, I've never run over the limit.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of considering just uploading as much as I can to see if I can actually hit the limit.
Go for it.
Just making a note about everything I can possibly think of.
This is cheap anyway. This is really cheap.
Yeah. But if you follow them on Twitter, they always post a lot of stuff about other business owners that will tell you how they use Evernote to make their business more efficient and how they use Evernote to make their lives more efficient. And a lot of the stuff that they post on there is pretty interesting.
Really?
Actually, they have all kinds of different careers where people use Evernote, like real estate agents, marketing people, tech people. It's pretty universal.
That is pretty awesome. It's a smart thing to do for a website, like a company, to just post constant success stories about how other people in the business are using their apps. So you get ideas out of that. I mean, that's content you could use. Yeah.
And what's nice about it is that if you have a particular note that, let's say you and your buddy both own computer repair shops, and you've found something that you've been dealing with on a regular basis, and you've saved it to a PDF, so you put it in a note in your Evernote account. Well, maybe your buddy doesn't have Evernote, but you want him to see the note.
Right.
Maybe you don't remember what the website was that you pulled it off of.
Right.
You can actually share that note as a public link and then just send your buddy the link.
That's right. I did remember that they did that. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That I did that earlier with is it Leaf of AnyPCService.com?
Yes.
I was actually on his website, and he started chatting with me. I was just kind of checking it out because I wanted to see what his website looked like, and it's a pretty nice website. But that chat feature that he has on his website, he started sending me messages, and we were talking back and forth, and we were talking about my Podnutz content, and I wasn't sure whether or not I had enough or if I had too much. And he said, send me your notes and I'll review them. So I just gave him the public link. He took a look at it. He said, well, I might do this, or I might save this for whether or not time permits, you know.
Right, right.
But he could give me some pointers just because I gave him the public link.
Right.
It's pretty slick.
That is really slick. Good usage of it too.
Another thing that I saw, and this was actually from a printer tech. There was a company that we do business with that they had a printing company come in and install a new copier, and the tech that came in to install it keeps all the drivers for those printers on his phone, and he has an Android phone. He just plugs it right into the server, pulls off the drivers that he needs, and then he's done. It's almost quicker than using a flash drive.
That's a great idea.
I was amazed, and I've tried to start doing that myself, but I haven't really found anything that I need to keep on there other than whatever's in Dropbox.
You just want to plug your phone in all over the place.
Yeah, it's cool. You can set it to flash mode or whatever.
Right, right. Do you have an Android phone?
I don't actually. I just got a new BlackBerry, and I had the Bold 9650. I just picked up the Bold 9930, which is it's like the 9650, but it adds the touchscreen.
Okay.
It's a little bit wider. It's a little bit thinner, and I've got to say it's probably one of the snappiest phones I've ever played with.
Really?
It's everything is very, very fast. I can't remember I think it's Liquid Touch or something. That everything just is very, very quick and responsive. My girlfriend actually has an Android phone, and I like her Android phone. She's got a MyTouch 4G, I think. And she's always all about customizing everything about her phone. She has the custom backgrounds, what are those? They're like moving backgrounds, right? The active backgrounds.
Yeah, what are they called? I can never remember. These guys are going to kill me on the show. Live wallpaper, I think it's called.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And she does a lot of those. She has all her custom home screens, and she was playing with my BlackBerry just after I got it, and she's like, "Wow, I'm gonna take this phone." I'm like, "Well, what are you talking about? What am I gonna do?" She says, "You can buy a new one."
Wow, really?
Yeah.
From an Android phone? Well, know what? She probably didn't root and ROM her phone, which is why she needs to listen to Android App Addicts and realize the power of the Android phones.
She's been considering it.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's what
my brother-in-law has a Droid, and he rooted his, and he put a custom ROM on it, and it's pretty slick actually what it's been doing. And he had it on a ROM that would allow you to or it automatically overclocked it whenever he started using it, and then it downclocked the processor when he wasn't using it.
Right.
And he said his battery life it was like night and day.
I have to do that. That's a real good idea. I know Liam talked about that. I rooted and ROMmed it, but I never messed with the overclocking, always thinking like it's fast enough. I don't need it to go faster. But like he said, and like you just said, it overclocks it when you use it and it underclocks it when you don't. So yeah, it's a good idea. It's a great idea.
That's pretty slick. It makes it snappier when you use it, but for the most part, you're probably not going to be using it. It's just going to be sitting in your pocket.
Right.
You don't want it to be running at 1200 megahertz or whatever you're going to be able to use it.
Exactly. Good point. All right. When you get an Android phone and come to the realization that you need one, you should come on Android App Addicts.
Maybe in the future. I don't know. I've been using the BlackBerry for a couple of years now, actually, and I like it. I mean, I liked it even before the touchscreen, but now it's probably my favorite. I love it.
I can't say because I have not used a BlackBerry. I've picked one up, pressed a couple buttons, and I've never really sat down and played with it or owned one. So I'm not going to get into that. I don't know how good it is.
Well, the other BlackBerries that they have with touchscreens are the Torch and the Storm. I think they're terrible phones, honestly.
Okay.
And this one, like the touchscreen, is just amazing, and it's super responsive. The quality of the screen, it's like 640 by 480, and it doesn't sound like much, but the screen's only like 2.8 inches.
Right.
So it's got a good resolution on it. And because it has BlackBerry OS 7 on it, I think it just runs a lot faster than everything else.
I see.
I've had nothing but problems with OS 6 on my other Bold,
I gotcha.
and it would freeze randomly. I would get pissed at the phone just because I didn't know what it was doing.
Right.
It would freeze literally for a minute at a time.
Oh man, I couldn't take it. That thing would get chucked out a window or something.
I was about to, and I got so fed up with it. As soon as I was eligible for an upgrade, I jumped on it.
Nice. Well, if it's as good as you say it is, then maybe we'll do BlackBerry App Addicts or something.
Oh, I wish there was enough BlackBerry apps.
Yeah, right, exactly. Hey, if you want, we could probably wrap up efficiency, and then I'll read emails if you want to roll through that real quick. And then I think, because you have a bunch more stuff, dude, you should, why don't you, if you want to sign up for next month or Podnutz Daily, we could definitely go through all the other stuff.
Yeah,
right.
That sounds good, actually.
All right, well, let's wrap up efficiency if you want to do that. We're on Evernote, and then we'll read emails, and then we'll wrap it up.
I didn't really go over Dropbox too much, but I've been using Dropbox a lot to maintain just my tech tools. If there's something that I find that can do a simple fix, like the Windows XP EXE fixes for a lot of viruses, or unhide. Unhide is a big one now because of all the viruses that have come out.
Big time.
I maintain all those things in my Dropbox account. I make a backup of tools because I always keep all my tools on my PC, obviously, but I back them up in Dropbox so that if I'm ever on site and I don't want to take my PC, I can just log into Dropbox, download what I need, or just pull it off my phone, do whatever I need, and it's a lot faster.
Sure. Yeah, I think anybody who's not using Dropbox or some type of service like that, like some people might not think Dropbox is the most secure thing in the world. If you do feel like that, there's other services. They're really handy. I mean, just have like a little cloud, own personal little cloud up there that you put some stuff and you use it all the time. It's really handy.
Right. And one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of times, if you don't have a very good upload speed on your connection and you're trying to provide remote support, it's a lot faster to just have the tool already in Dropbox and download it onto the customer's machine from Dropbox. All you got to do is just throw it in the public folder, copy the public link, throw it into their browser, and it doesn't even go to the Dropbox website. It just downloads it.
That's awesome.
So they don't even know what kind of tools that you're using unless they're familiar with Dropbox.
That is awesome. That's a great idea.
It's pretty cool. I use it all the time for that reason, just because I can't transfer files as quick as I need to that remote workstation.
Right. That's brilliant. Good one.
And I've heard a lot of people that talk about using portable apps on a flash drive.
Yes.
I'm not a big fan of that. I used to use them in the past a lot, but I have like probably 7 or 8 flash drives, and they range anywhere from 512 megs up to 8 gigs, and I just don't use any of them anymore because of Dropbox.
Really?
Yeah.
Ken is just showing me about 3 of them he just pulled out of his pocket as you were talking about it.
Oh my gosh.
Ken, do you use Dropbox? Okay, he uses Dropbox too. Just checking.
Okay. Well, in addition to that, I don't necessarily use this too much at the company that I work for now, but I know a lot of people do use Google Apps, and especially with Android phones, that's awesome. But Google Apps for spreadsheets. I don't know if you keep invoices in there. One thing that I found, this has been a couple of years ago now that I've been using it, is Zoho. It's just Zoho.com. Zebra. O, H as in Henry, O.com. It basically takes the Google Apps API, and they build apps on top of it. So they either make the app better, or they build other apps that are kind of similar to it, but they have more functionality. They're more focused on business use. You get your free email account through them. It's whatever you choose at Zoho.com. You can do invoicing on there. You can do remote support. You can do CRM. They have custom apps that people make that you can actually use in your Zoho account. There's all kinds of tools on there that could probably make your business a little more efficient. And I've used this in the past for just maintaining customer information, or maybe you don't want them to email your Gmail account. You just give them your Zoho. But I mean,
This
there's
is
a lot of
awesome.
cool tools on there if you check that out.
That is awesome. So it builds on top. So you don't have to, like, if you wanted to create something in like a Google document spreadsheet, for example, you don't
Right.
have to create it from scratch. I mean, they have like pre-built like almost apps for like finance and different things.
Well, a lot of times they have like templates and stuff that you can find, but they have there's certain applications that people will take and they develop something based on that. Like they have a database, and they will develop an application that's based on the database, and maybe it has more functionality. Like they have help desk software that's built on the database software that they've put out there. And it's kind of cool if you check them out.
Huh.
You can find a lot of stuff that's kind of industry specific.
Wow, that's really neat, man. Good one.
It's pretty cool. I like that. But in one thing that I did want to mention, and I don't know if it's been mentioned before or not. It's a tool called join.me. That's the website. It's join.me, and it's actually, it used to be LogMeIn Express, and it's still maintained. It's the new version of LogMeIn Express. It's made by LogMeIn, and it's very, very simple. It works right through your browser. It uses the .NET framework, actually. So
Okay.
you have to make sure that it's installed on the remote workstation, but all they do is just, they hit share. You, in your join box there, put in whatever meeting number that they provide you with, and you're monitoring their PC. They can click give remote control, and you can just do it right through your browser.
I think that, yeah, the easier they can make remote support stuff, the better. I think is the better, and that's like the main thing that the companies have to focus on as far as this remote stuff. Well, I never used this, but it looks super simple. I did hear about it.
It's incredibly simple. The one thing that people wouldn't necessarily think about that makes this awesome is the web address, because I've had problems just even telling somebody the IP address of the server where the download is located for our remote support software.
With using numbers, right?
Just using numbers, because it's incredibly simple using numbers compared to trying to say, oh, okay, it's this is the web address A for Apple, and
Right.
just giving them, I had this problem the other day, and I had to use join.me because of it. This guy, he had to have been about 70 years old, didn't know a thing about computers. He couldn't understand what I was actually trying to tell him to put in the web address. And I said, here, I have a better solution. This is going to be a lot quicker. Just go to join.me. His response was, oh, join.me.com?
You know the cool thing? That's funny. But you know the cool thing? As you're talking, I'm typing it in, pretending to be somebody who's just horrible with computers. If you type "join me" in Google, it comes up as first. I mean, like, you don't even have to tell them because I know I've had problems distinguishing the address bar from their search bar, and people have no clue what the difference. Like, wherever they could type something, I think wherever they could type "join me," I think it'll bring them there. So URL, or search bar, the URL bar, or the address bar, or anywhere on the freaking like the page they're on. I think if they type "join me," they'll probably end up here. So you're right. That is a great URL name.
It's very, very clever. But you can actually get, I believe you can get a pro account on there where you can get a custom web address, and you can maintain your clients on there, or workstations, which is, I don't think it's very expensive, actually.
Huh.
But you can have custom branding even. So if you wanted to have your own
cool.
whatever for your company's website, then you could do that too.
Very cool. Good one. You brought some goods, Ralph. Well done, man. Thank you. You want to hear some emails?
Yeah. Let's do some emails.
This is from David. He says, I saw the question in the chat tonight on Podnutz Daily. How do you do mobile repair when a virus scan can take an hour or more, then diagnostic time, updates, etc.? So, his question is, how can you do virus removal on mobile repairs? Because you're going to basically be there for hours and hours and hours, and will people pay for that, or how do you handle that? And I told them when I did mobile repair and I had to do a virus I knew was going to take a long time, a lot of times I would take their computer with me and be like, I'm going to bring this back to the shop. I'll have it back to you the next day. Or you just, I mean, that's how I did it, but because I just didn't want to be sitting around these places for hours and on end. But, you know, you could tell them up front. You could also just tell them up front, this is my hourly rate. This virus is going to take 3 hours to clear off. You know, I could do it here and do it. And I guess there's many ways to handle that. But I told him, I go, I usually take the machine home, but I'll ask on the show what other people do. And he answered me back. He said, well, that's what I do. But then I hear guys on the shows talking about scheduling enough time at each customer's house. He will be interested to hear the different answers. Well, David, if you really want to hear the most different answers, just post this in the Podnutz forums. I'm sure you'll get a ton of good answers there. But that's what I do. Ralph, what do you do?
Well, a lot of times when that happens, it's going to be a business client. They don't generally have a whole lot of time for you to sit there tying up their machine. And generally when I find that there's a virus infection, it's a very, very specific virus infection.
Yeah.
And most of the virus infections that they get are usually in their profile. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can go about it. You could always log them off, delete their profile, have them log back on. But if they're actually using something like Outlook, then it's not as efficient because you're going to lose their PST. But usually what I do is I will do manual removals, and then I'll use tools like Hijack This. Auto runs is a big one. For some of the more stubborn ones, you kind of have to break out whatever you have in your arsenal. But I will generally do the manual removals as quick as I can, and then if the system is just too bad, I'll run Combo Fix or something. But usually I'll use something like Hitman Pro and run a quick scan on it. But I always leave them with their antivirus software running and up to date, so it can at least catch what's on there if it finds it.
Good point. That's a good one. Ken, did you have any input on this one, or? I just haven't bring it. He hasn't bring it to his shop. All right. Good one. Thank you all for answering that, and thank you, David, for asking it. Like I said, put it in the Podnutz forums. You'll get a lot of good stuff there. Cody says, eWiz has Microsoft Home Server for $50. I never went to eWiz. Microsoft Home Server for $49.95. $5 code GoFish. So it brings it down to $44.99 with free shipping, just FUI. And he gave me a link to SuperBiz. I never heard of SuperBiz. SuperBiz. You get Microsoft Home Server for about $60. He says eWiz has it for $49.99. I never even went to eWiz either. But if people want to get Microsoft Home Server cheap, Cody just gave us where you get it. So thank you very much, Cody. Paul says, hey, thanks for all the learning video recommendations, including yours. Is there a source to order a DB9 connector for a board level repair, assuming these are standard on laptops? Are they? So DB9, that's basically VGA. Am I right about that? Is that a VGA connector, DB9?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
DB9 connector. So he's basically looking for a place to order DB9 connectors for a board level repair on laptops. Are they all standard? I can't imagine they're all standard. Laptops, when things are soldered onto laptop motherboards, I mean, even USB ports are a little different because you don't know how many pins or how long the pins are coming out or how that's placed on the motherboard. I think a lot of it's very customized. But, I mean, I'm sure that you could match up a DB9 connector on one motherboard with another motherboard if it's close enough and kind of make it work. I don't know. I never did a repair on those connectors on a laptop, to be honest.
Wait a second. They're talking about in the chat here. There's it's a serial port.
Oh, serial port.
But what are you working on that has a serial port nowadays?
I know. He did give a link and said, will this work? Paul did. It's a link to Newegg. You're right. It is oops, wrong one. It is a serial port, and that's what he's talking about. USB to serial port. Yeah, I don't know. If you're using a serial port for some type of ancient hardware, then...
Unless it's a business class machine,
yeah.
I can't see a consumer laptop having a serial port. Maybe a consumer desktop.
Yeah. Are these standard on laptops? Yeah, well, he was asking about laptops. Wow. I can't imagine they're standard on laptops either. So I think you just have to do a little Frankenstein piece together action if you want to get that to work. But probably for the price of what and the time you're going to put into it, I would buy a new laptop that has a serial port because they can't be that expensive these days. I mean, not a new, like a used laptop to replace the current laptop with the serial port on it. You know what I mean? It's not going to cost you that much.
Well, even a serial to USB adapter would probably work in that instance, but you can find those cheap online.
Yes, that is the link he gave to Newegg. It's a USB to 2-port serial adapter. So there you go. Thank you guys for that input as well. See, I'm always thinking about doing things the hard way. You guys have to make it easy. All right. Next one is, well, thank you, Paul. Next one is from Computer Lady. Justine says, "Hey, Steve and staff. I recently stumbled onto Podnutz. Thank you. Thank you for providing such a wealth of information in a fun and entertaining manner. I've been in the business for a while and can definitely use the tips and best practices you and the guests provide. I'm trying to digest as much as possible, as quickly as possible. Any suggestions on how to best utilize the broadcasts?" Yeah, just watch them and then watch them again or listen to them and listen to them again. The number of times over studying materials, the more certain you get about them. So I would just go with that and just listen till you get sick of hearing me and the guests, I guess. However you want to use them is however you want to use them. Everybody has their own way, but I'm really glad you're enjoying them and they're helping you. But she says, "My main reason for writing is to find out how to see the video portion of the podcasts. I hear them, but I have no video. Keep up the awesome job you are doing." That's from Justine. We actually post all the shows on YouTube. About a week after we do the show, you will see them appearing on YouTube. They don't all have the word Podnutz in them, like Podnutz Daily, Podnutz Roundtable, and Podnutz Pro. If you do a search for Podnutz, they will come up. Sort by upload date, and you'll get the most recent shows. But then Android App Addicts, Linux for the Rest of Us, and Nuts and Night, they're also up there too. But you just got to search by the title. Or you just go, let's make it easy. Go to youtube.com/Podnutz. That's the Podnutz channel. You can watch all the shows and video up there right now. We're trying to get more on the Roku box and other media outlets as well, which should be happening soon. So thank you, Justine. Glad we could help you with that. Lastly is from Mike. He says, "Hi, Podnutz. So I have an HP DV2000, and I bought a new motherboard on eBay like you suggested. But it still won't boot up, and my screen is black. I connected everything like it should be, but the same problem still exists. What else do you guys think it could be besides the motherboard? Maybe I have a defective motherboard. Has this ever happened to you guys? Also, thanks for the reply, Mike." Mike, well, I would definitely go to the Podnutz forums and ask there. I mean, when you ask on the show, it's just me trying to remember things about how to fix those laptops. And, when your screen is black, it could be a couple things. I mean, it might be the screen, might be your inverter's fried. I don't know if you're getting any video on the screen at all, or it's black, or if it's just black. I would also check, are any lights coming on when you power on the laptop? I mean, I know in a lot of times with those DVs, when the graphics chip was going bad, you'd still get the lights on boot up, like the lights on the LEDs would light up, but you would get nothing on the screen. It's possible it could be a bad motherboard you got on eBay. Like maybe I would check your RAM, definitely. The wireless card tends to go on those things too. Just pull out the wireless card, keep one stick of RAM in, and try it that way. Make sure you seated your processor properly. I mean, there's a lot of things it could be. If you want to go on the forums and give more details, we might be able to help troubleshoot it a little bit more. But let's see what the other guys think. Anything on this one, Ralph?
Did he mention anything about the power adapter?
No. That's another thing it could be. The power connection, power adapter could be bad. Yeah, he didn't.
Well, even if it's not bad, if it's not providing the right amount of power, then he's still going to have an issue there. But what was the original issue with the motherboard as to why you replaced it?
I think he said his screen was black. I just took it out of my queue, so I'm not having it in front of me anymore.
Okay.
I think he said his screen is black, which was the case with the DV6000 and the DV2000 when the graphics cards were going, or the graphics chips were going, and they needed like reflow jobs or reballing. But a black screen could mean many things. If there's computer's not getting any power and you have a black screen, well, that's a problem. If the screen is black, but you can still kind of see the icons and the desktop behind it, then maybe your bulb is bad or your inverter is bad. So black screen could be a lot of things too. Yeah.
Can you actually hook it up to an external monitor and get any kind of output out of it?
Yeah, that might be one thing to, if you're going to post it, Mike, put as many details as you can. Did you try using an external monitor?
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. That is it for the emails. Ralph, man, it's been awesome having you on.
I had fun, actually.
Good.
I'd like to thank you for having me on, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I thank you guys. Definitely sign up for next month if you want. I posted the new dates in the forums.
Okay.
And this time I'll have your Skype address on file. If anybody wants to be a guest on the show, go to podnutz.com/guests. We need more emails. I read them all today. So if you want to give us your email or send us an email, send it to mail@podnutz.com. Please send us voicemails. They are fun to play. We like to hear you. Send them to 7076-PODNUT. In fact, call 7076-PODNUT on a phone. We will get your voicemail. We will play your voicemail. Ken, thank you for coming to see me. There's Ken, everybody. Ken Watts. Tell us, Ken, what's the name of your computer repair business?
Computer Repair and More.
ComputerRepairMore.com.
You can do it that way, or the shortened versions, just repairandmore.com.
RepairandMore.com.
Both of them go the same.
Thank you. And Ken is, he came to visit me. He, like I said before, he's the man that sent me my leaf blower, which I cherished. We used it every day at the shop. And thank you for Ken, and also all the contributions you make to the network. Thanks. All right, well, also everybody who's watching us live, thanks for coming out. Hope you enjoyed the show. Anybody who's downloading or watching it, or listening, however you're doing that, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show as well. That's going to be it for Podnutz Daily for today. See you next time.